Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bettina and I'm the makeup enthusiast. In today's video I am doing my 5 looks and review on the Kaleidos Makeup and Angelica Nyqvist Club Nebula palette. If you jump on over to my Instagram, you will see a reel including all the swatches of this palette. With that all being said, let's roll the 5 looks and let me know which one is your favorite look. Dying to use this lime green right here, so I think that's what I'm going to do today. I think I'm going to use Firefly as well, and then potentially one of these darker shades here. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to incorporate it, but that's the plan for today. Starting off with my Hourglass Veil Primer. Now, because this one doesn't really have any like pale light colors, I am a fan of like setting my eyelid primer with some neutral tones. So lately I've been mixing this white one here with this one from Makeup Geek. This one is Peach Smoothie, and the white one is actually from a Makeup Forever palette that I depotted. So I've just set from like the bottom of my eyebrow to the top half of my crease. Now I'm going to go in with the color Gravity, which is the lime green. I think I'm going to start by running it through my crease, but I probably will run it across my lid as well because I want to layer Firefly over the top of it. I just feel like Firefly might have like some more depth to it if I layer it over the top of Gravity. So I'm packing this on pretty intensely. Like my blending brush, I'm getting like a fair bit of product on it, and I'm starting it in the crease and then blending like up towards my brow into those colors that I just laid down. So it just helps it blend a little bit better. You would think after the amount of time that I have been on YouTube for, I would have gotten this down pat, like positioning and whatnot. I haven't. And you can blend this up as high as you want, you can keep it as low as you want. It's totally up to you on how you like your like eyeshadow shape to be. Okay, I feel like this in itself is a vibe. So I'm just making sure the color across my lid is like intense enough for my liking and that the shapes kind of match. And I like how it looks when I look forward. So I always like to grab a mirror and kind of hold it up and hold it kind of far away from myself. Relax my eyes, see if I like how high I've brought it up on like the outer sides here, and see if I like how it looks when I look straight ahead, when I raise my eyebrows, you know, all that jazz. Especially if you're doing like a bright color like this, you just want to make sure you're really happy with the blend, you're happy with the placement, the intensity. Firefly. I'm going to pop that all over my lid. Oh, that is pretty. Oh my gosh, look at that. So because I picked up so much on my brush, it is falling down a little bit, but I feel like that is really my own fault because I did pick up a lot on my brush. That does really like kind of pop over the top of that green. Oh, it's so pretty. Now I feel like this might ruin it, but I am going to take the tiniest little bit of Queen of Blades, which is this dark teal color here, the tiniest little bit. And I'm just gonna pop that on my outer corner just to add a smidge of depth. I feel like this might ruin it, but we're gonna give it a shot. I dipped my brush in, I tapped it off a lot, like a lot. And then I'm just patting so lightly on the outer corner that it's like barely putting a pigment in there, and blending it out by tapping it mainly into the crease and across the lid. I don't want it to take away from the lime green because I feel like the lime green and the shimmer on the lid is the star of the show. I just prefer my eye makeup when there's a little bit of dip back into the lime green a little bit. I'm actually really liking how this is looking. I'm just gonna dab some more of Firefly over the lid with my finger because I think it's really pretty. I normally don't like working with shimmers with my finger, but sometimes, actually I will say these shimmers in this palette pick up exceptionally well on a brush, and I really appreciate that because I'm not a big finger person. I'm not a big eyeshadow application with fingers person, but when you like put it, it just seems to, I don't know, meld into your creases a little bit more and you get that like extra ship to it. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all this fallout, and I do have a bit of a mess in front of me, so I would advise while you're doing your makeup, don't hold it upright while you're dipping your brushes into it, but also you don't need to like dip really aggressively into this palette, especially like the mattes. The mattes are more on like that pressed pigment side of things, so they are a bit more powdery, so you don't need to be like really jamming your brush in there. Like a light tap will give you enough, especially with these the darker mattes. Like to get the teal, what I got on my eyes, I really dipped really gently. I basically just went like that and that was enough. So with these deeper mattes, if you are wanting something a little bit more subtle, don't go really hammering your brush into the palette. Really light taps is what you want if you want something a little bit more subtle, a little bit more natural. As you can see, natural goddess, natural beauty right here with lime green eyeshadow. Under my lower lash line, I'm basically just going to replicate what I've done up the top here. So I'm going to pop the lime green. I'm going to kind of blend it down a bit, and then I'm going to run the teal, the dark teal probably, mainly on the outer corner, but I'm going to focus it quite close to the lash line. My Terramines here and light here. I'm gonna like load this up on the inner corner. You guys know how I feel about the inner corner highlight. I'm just gonna pack it on. I'm gonna lay an E on, whoop, over the top. I think today I want to do something a little bit different. I think I want to do kind of like an ombre liner and keep the shadow fairly simple in all other areas. So I haven't quite decided what color I am going to ombre with just yet, but I think I want to use some of these shimmers. So I'm starting off with my Hourglass Veil Primer. Then I'm going to go ahead and set that with a combination of this color here from Makeup Geek and this one here from Makeup Forever. And I'm going to set my whole area from like lash line to Naru. I'm going to run that slightly through the crease, so just really lightly with a big fluffy brush, just to give a little, and tapping off the excess, just to give a little bit of definition through that crease there. I'm going to start off my wing, and I'm going to lay down a black base first. This is my Danessa Myricks Color Fix in the color Blackout, and it is a matte black. And then I have a Super Beauty liner. This is the 610. This is a liner brush. wings aren't the neatest, but that's fine because I'm going to go over the top of it anyway. So now I'm going to go over the top of it with the Too Faced glitter glue. So I've laid the black down just so the shimmers have a good like base. So they're going to like pop a bit more with the glitter glue, with the shimmer over the top. So I'm gonna work in sections. I'm gonna do like a little bit of glitter glue and then go in with the shimmer over the top. So I'm gonna start off with this one here right on the inner corner. So I started off with Nova right on the inner corner. Then I'm going to go into You're My Only Hope, which is the purple shimmer. I'm going to go into the green one, which is Firefly. Firstly, I'm going to lay down some more glitter glue on the outer half. Then I'm going into Astro. And then lastly, right on the outer corner, I'm going to pop the color Void, which is the matte navy. Do something quite bold, and I think I want to incorporate the red because I haven't really used the red as yet. So I'm starting off with my KVD Vegan Beauty Shake Primer. I'm going to dot between these to set that void and start this outer corner into my crease. This might be a little bit of a too thick of a brush to do this, but what I'm gonna do is like wing it out. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush. I think that's pretty good for now. I'll go back in if I want it to build up at all. Then I'm going to go in with Red Giant. So the red, I'm going to touch just like the tiniest amount on the same brush, tap it off very well, and I'm running this along the top here. I don't love how that looks, but I'm going to continue on and we'll see if we go. So I'm going to cut my crease with glitter glue, then into the color Astro, and I'm popping that where I just popped the glitter glue. I'm going to run Red Giant along my lower lash line, and then I'm going to pop Nova on my inner corner. I wanted to do something a little bit more subtle so I could show you guys, but I also want to use, I think, this like corally color here and prime my lids with my Veil Primer from Hourglass. As per all the other looks, I'm going to dot between Samus, I think it's Samus, so the coral color, and I'm starting in my crease. Tap it off a bit, so starting in my crease, blending in, you know, windscreen wiper motions, and as we get to the color that we want, we're gonna blend it up towards the brow. I think this color would look really pretty. It's just like all over the lid, blend it out really well, and call it a day. And I think I want to start, I'll start with Celestial, which is this one here, starting that from the inner corner, and then depending on how I'm feeling I might pop a little bit of Nebula on like the outer half. Just going to pick some up on my finger and just pack it on, just because with the brush it applies really nicely, but you can kind of still see my like eyelid skin underneath, whereas this more packs it on with a punch. You could like skip both of these steps and actually just lay down a glitter glue. On my other finger I'm going to get just a touch of Nebula, and I think I'll just pat that on the center. Back into Samus, so that's the matte color. I'm just running that back through my crease just to build up the color a little bit more. My concealer on this eye keeps running because my eye keeps watering, so hopefully it can stay put for the remainder of the video and we can wrap this up pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm going to start off by going in with Samus and running this under my eye. I am going to run some of this color over my lid, and then I'm going to go back over the top of it with the shimmer, just because I feel like you can see too much of my skin peeking through the shimmer. Now that's done, I'm just going to go back in with my finger and the color Celestial and pop that back over my lid, and then Nebula on the center. Do you guys see? Do you guys see what I just did? Oh my gosh, if this look wasn't getting any more disastrous, oh my gosh. Then I go ahead and do that. I accidentally just dipped my finger into the deep purple instead of Nebula. Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. Okay, hopefully we can just gently wipe it off, making sure I'm dipping into the right shade this time. Popping that in the center. Okay, this has turned into one massive mess. I will not stop watering. It just won't stick. So I'm just gonna keep powering on. From a distance, don't squint too hard. From a distance, it'll look fine. Don't look too close. For my inner corner, I'm going in with the Kaleidos Comet Catcher. Today, I'm thinking something a little bit more on the neutral side, just so I can give you guys some inspiration across like a wide range of, I guess, eye look genres, so you can see how versatile this palette is. Starting off with my KVD, whatever it's called now, Shake Primer. Dot in between this one and this one to set my base. Naru, I'm going to start off with this, running this through my crease, and I'm going to build it up quite slowly. From what I have found with these shadows, you do need to tap off the brush. They can be quite powdery, so if you're not careful you can end up picking up too much. Blending this up towards my brow bone. Then I'm taking the color Rock Hopper and I'm just placing this on my outer corner and then blending it into the crease. And then I'm going to go over that with a bit of Cylon, just because I think for some of you, you might be able to leave it like this and then just pop a shimmer on the lid. But I feel like for me, I don't think it's coming out too bad on camera, but for me in real life, this is just giving me very black eye. So I'm going to go over it with Cylon just to see if we can kind of change the tone of this purple a little bit. And then lastly, for my lid color, I'm going in with You Are My Only Hope. Yes, You Are My Only Hope. This one here. This is like the purpley shimmer color. Now I'm going to try initially without glitter glue. This might be a mistake. Maybe not. A little bit of fall down. Then just going in with that brush again with a tiny little bit of Cylon, so that's the deep purple that I used, and just running that over the edge of where, you know, this matte color here meets the shimmer. For the lower lash line, I'm just going to wrap that color Cylon. So Cylon, this one here, I'm just going to wrap that under my lower lash line, and then I'll pop You're My Only Hope on the inner corner. Those are the 5 looks that I created using the color Nebula palette. Now I'm going to share some thoughts with you on this palette and what I think of this palette, whether I think it's worthy of attention. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think this is a beautiful palette, but I do think that there are some problems with the palette. Not that many, but I also think that this palette is for a very specific makeup user, and I think if you don't fit that category, I don't think you're going to get on well with this palette. Or if you're a beginner, I also don't know whether you'll get on that well with this palette either. It is leaning more on like the deeper side of things and quite colorful. So if you are fearful of color, or you're not used to working with color, or you just don't feel comfortable wearing color, this is not a palette for you. As well as if you don't like those like deeper, grungier looks, I don't think you'll get on with this palette either. That being said, I did create some absolutely gorgeous looks using this palette. The look with the shimmery blue on my lid using the reds and the burgundies, or using the red in this palette, are absolutely beautiful. And the green look that I created using this palette, those are 2 of my favorite looks that I think I've ever created. It turned out beautifully. The shimmers in this palette, like chef's kiss. I do wish that there was a different iridescent color like this to be able to pair with more looks. This iridescent color here pulls quite purpley blue, so if you're not wearing a purpley blue look, then it looks a little bit odd putting this in the inner corner with other looks. Other than that, I think the shimmers are gorgeous. And I think Kaleidos excels with shimmer colors. I have always enjoyed the Kaleidos shimmer formula. It's always been a fantastic formula to work. Most of the time you don't really need a glitter glue with them to be like full opacity. These mattes are very like pressed pigment formula-esque. They're very, they're those kind of mattes that you need to do like the pack and blend method with, otherwise they can get quite patchy. If you want like a lighter wash of colors, these darker ones and a lot of the mattes in this palette, it can be a little bit harder to get just a lighter wash of color, especially if you are working with quite a grippy eyeshadow primer. They can stick and grip to the eyeshadow primer. My other tiny issue with the palette is the purples, and you may have seen as I was creating this look, especially this color Rock Hopper. For my skin tone especially, and if you have a skin tone similar to mine or lighter, I feel like this comes up as a bruise on my skin. I love with a passion this color Gravity. It is gorgeous. Creating the green eye look that I created with this palette was a dream. It was an absolute dream. It turned out gorgeous and I absolutely loved it. The red in here is a little bit disappointing. It's not really a true red. It pulls quite pink, which was disappointing, but you can get some pretty looks using it. You just got to bear in mind it's not exactly a true red. It's more of a pink. Those are kind of my little critiques of the palette. Overall, I think the design, the packaging design of the palette, other than it being a little bit thick for my liking, the packaging design is really, really pretty. If you don't like those like deeper looks, you're probably not going to get on with this palette. And if you're a beginner and haven't really worked with pressed pigment formulas or really bright colors before, you might struggle with this one a little bit because it's not the most beginner friendly palette, just because those mattes are quite deep. But if you are very au fait and over colors, you think that you can get some good looks out of this palette, I would 100% recommend you try and get this in the next release of the palette, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. Don't just buy it to support the brand or the collaboration with Angelica. She, like, I think we're coming up to the third order round of this palette and they've all sold out. So if you don't think that you'll use this palette, I don't think you need to purchase this palette just to support the influencer or the brand, because it's gonna sell out regardless of whether you buy it or not. Angelica's kicking goals, so she's gonna get another collaboration with brands in the future. So I would just hold off and wait for something that's more in line with how you like to do your makeup. If you do recreate any of my looks that I created in this video, please go ahead and tag me on Instagram. If you are still here while you were down there, leave me a comment for me. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel for future content. You can also join my membership and applaud this video if you like. That's it for this video, everyone. I hope that you're having an absolutely fantastic day. I hope that you are staying safe and healthy and looking after yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, beautiful.